So another common question I hear, particularly from my folks with Hashimoto's, is can I get off of my medications? And is that a reasonable goal? And here's the thing, it depends on you and it depends how long you've had your condition. So I'm going to frame this around Hashimoto's mostly because that's one that I typically see a lot of. I'm actually going to get into this later in the video. We're going to talk about other sorts of drugs, but let's focus right now for just the Hashi people. And you could even say Addison's is going to be similar. So for Hashimoto's and Addison's folks, can you get off of your thyroid medication or can you get off of your cortisone? That is dependent on how severe your condition is and how long you've had it. So with Hashimoto's, the basic mechanism of it is your immune system chomps away and destroys some of the thyroid gland. And then the thyroid is less and less able to produce thyroid hormone as that progresses and as you damage more of the tissue. So I have had patients who have Hashimoto's, but they've only had it for maybe a year or two, and their TSH isn't super bad, like maybe it's 4, 5, somewhere right on the cusp of conventional docs caring about it. And I've seen those patients where if we do, if we treat the infections, if we treat the hormones, if we do the whole functional medicine thing, and we get all of their ducks in a row and their body balanced and happy, then I've seen TSH normalize, thyroid levels normalize, and those people can stay off of medication. I've also seen it where somebody's already on thyroid medication and we just do all the right things and maybe they've only had a low grade amount of inflammation and autoimmunity for a year or two, and doing all of this stuff was enough that they can then come off their medication because they have enough of the gland left intact that they're able to do that. That's the key. So the converse is also true though. If you say, like with my mom, when I figured out that my mom has Hashimoto's, and this was, probably about 10 years ago, when we first started discussing this and diagnosing her appropriately, she had been hypothyroid for the better part of 25 years at that point, basically since I was born. And looking back, we didn't even discuss bringing her off of medication. We knew it wasn't a realistic goal because she had been on Synthroid or Levo forever. She'd been on it for like 20 something years. And now here we come in saying, oh, we have the cause, it's autoimmune. By that point, she's had an autoimmune condition. And at that point, too, she had already been diagnosed with the pemphigoid, too. She had had not only one, but then 2 autoimmune conditions and inflammation attacking her thyroid for over 2 decades. I don't think there's enough thyroid gland left to adequately make that hormone. And maybe that's okay. In the grand scheme of things, if you're going to be on a medication for the rest of your life, I think Levo or Synthroid is pretty benign. And I would rather take that than not. But that's kind of where it's at. So if you've had your condition for a long time, realistically, you're probably not coming off of that medication. And maybe that's okay, and we need to make peace with that. But if you've only had it for a year or two, or it's not a very severe case, then there is hope that you could stave that off. But keep it in the back of your mind that you may need some sort of support or some medication at a later time. Life happens, shit happens. They got this YouTube, I think I could say shit. But, life happens and things happen and you get infections and head traumas and injuries and things that you weren't anticipating. And that can instigate an autoimmune flare and you can destroy more of your tissue as time goes on. So even if you're not on thyroid replacement now, there is still the possibility that you might genuinely need it in the future. And to me, I think that's pretty okay. It's like if you're a type 1 diabetic or you've got 1.5 and you need insulin, you just be really grateful that insulin exists and that they have it and you're able to take it and you deal with the autoimmunity and the inflammation in addition to taking your medication.